to a daughter of the soil. I almost say Honorable Rose Corbin, because that's how we see you. That's how we think of you. And we want to thank you for being with us tonight. And we look forward, Madame Corbin. I'm giving you all these titles tonight for what you have to share with us. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show. You're muted. Are you still muted?
Yes, good evening. Thank you so much for that warm welcome as usual. And I'm honored as well as humbled to be with you in this forum where we can have this reach to share on matters that are of common interest, matters that are of concern to us. And as I usually do, please let me say good evening to all the loyal sons and daughters all out there, locally here in Barbados and in the Caribbean and beyond in the diaspora, loyal sons and daughters, all firm craftsmen of our faith. And so, Marcia, I'm here to make my contribution with you and with others. Thank you, Marcia.
You're most welcome.
So do I
Yes,
get
just
into
go right.
it?
Yes, go right ahead. I'm so sorry. Go right ahead, Mrs. Corbin.
Yes, please. Thank you. Um, c- could we go back, Dave, to the very first clip that I would have sent you, PowerPoints? I
While we're
think,
doing that, I'm going to ask everybody to like and share and subscribe. Yes, a like, share, subscribe, so that whenever we come on, you're going to get your notification that we're on. You see a little bell that is there on the right. Try to click that bell on the right, and you see a thumbs up. You click the thumbs up. Okay, those of you who are seniors, ask your grandchildren and your children to tell you what to do. All right, but we want to make sure that we are connected up, so that this is a very important time for us, Barbados. Yes, go
yes,
right ahead,
please.
Mrs. Corbett.
Do we have the first clip, PowerPoint,
Okay, it seems to be
Marcia?
having some. Just start, and as you start, then we're gonna
Okay.
might be some technical issues. Sorry
Yes.
about that.
This evening, Marcia, I would, and to those who are with us, I would like to speak specifically um, to what's happening in education. And as you all know, that education has been my lifeline. It's my passion. I know no other form of activity really that grabs me than education. And hence, my first PowerPoint slide, I have inserted that heartbeat, that heart. And my caption is education, the heart and heartbeat of a nation, of a people. And I remember last year, Marcia, that when we were looking at education transformation, um, in 2023, actually, I would have done um, presentations in this forum on the development, the historical development of education. And we would have traced it um, beyond, but at the start, just prior to emancipation, 1825 emancipation, and that the plantocracy in its concern that the um, newly freed slaves would get out of hand, there and the church came together to educate that population. the freed slaves. The education, though faulty and want to keep in submission, was nonetheless the groundings and the beginnings of what generations which followed built on and profited by and prospered by and prospered from. And therefore, I am very concerned with what's happening now. And hence, I am asking persons to get up and speak out about the way education is being handled or mishandled in recent times. Let's look at the next slide. And I'm sure, Marcia, you would agree with me that education is the heartbeat of a people, of families, of a nation. And when you mess with the heart, what happens? You paralyze, you cripple, you even kill, you even destroy the body. Hence that knife, I found that one, how they are stabbing and killing this country in many ways. And they have now gone a step further. They're killing us with the debt. They're killing us with the disenfranchisement through land ownership. And now they are carelessly, they've gotten too flippant now with education. And look at the heart rate, how I'm seeing education losing its heartbeat, losing its strength, losing its vigor until it's going to flatten out. And this is the analogy how I am seeing the trends in education and what is happening and what can happen. Let us look at the next slide. And I have here the Ministry of Educational Transformation and a question mark. What's that? No longer are we the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, but we have now been dropped with this sudden name, the Ministry of Educational Transformation. And these are the questions I'm asking, Marcia, and to you out there, and to those responsible for education. What indeed is the Ministry of Educational Transformation? What is to be implied or construed by this recently conferred change of name? Is it the covert engine or mechanism to be employed by the powers that be to ensure the continuation of the dropped, and I have dropped in parentheses, reimagining education through the proposed educational reform, which was brought to the public in 2023. What are they doing and with education? How are they using what used to be the Ministry of Education? Let's look at the next slide. And if you pull up this, you remember this was what was brought to us in 2023, the glamorous launching of the reimagining education. All the monies that were spent on the big launch, the PR used by, I think it was Gaynell Marshall, the town hall meetings again, which they had more PR at than technocrats promoting this education reform until we discovered, by my asking, they had no budget, all the things they were planning to do to change and mash up education. Not that I'm against change and transformation and reformation, but do it properly and sensibly with a supporting and supportive rationale. I am asking if covertly through this name change that the focus will be to continue what they started and have not succeeded at. Next slide, please. Now, we know that we have a prime minister who likes jetting around the world. Well, I went, Marcia, on my own virtual jetting through the looking for information available to me on how countries across the world treat education. And what I have found out, Marcia, is that there is nothing in my jet setting research that speaks to the Ministry of Educational Transformation. Let's look at China. China has a Ministry of Education of the People's Republic of China. Now, China has become our colonial masters. Now, we're being recolonized. And if we are keeping in stride with China, we would see that China has a Ministry of Education of the People's Republic of China. Persons would say that it is indoctrination, that is draconian, that it is heavy-handed. But we do know that China, even little children in primary schools, what we call primary schools, are sent in many provinces across China away from their parents to boarding school from very early. And they are very clear in what they call education, the Ministry of Education of the People's Republic of China. The UK has the Department of Education, and they then give oversight and resources to the other counties, to the other parts of the UK to administer the delivery of education and the policies that come and are formulated by and through the Department of Education. We look at Ghana. Remember, we have our flag in a coffin somewhere in Ghana. We started an embassy in Ghana, and they have the Ministry of Education. We look at Russia. Russia, again, draconian like China, heavy-handed, highly political, has a Ministry of Education and Science of the Russian Federation. Canada, although there is no Ministry or Education or Department of Education at federal level, there are ministries and departments responsible for education at provincial level. For example, the Ministry of Education, Ontario. Guyana, we're very close to Guyana. The Prime Minister and the Prime Minister of Guyana are close, like Siamese twins. And what do they have? The Ministry of Education. Similarly, Jamaica, bigger many times than Barbados, but they have a Ministry of Education. And that's what my jet setting brought up. Virtual social media jet setting. So Marcia, I am tired from jet setting. I don't know how the prime minister manages to hop off a plane and then go and speak so long at somebody's funeral and whatever. I don't know how she manages, but this is my contribution on how the world treats education by having a very clear designation called the Ministry of Education. Now, let's look quickly, Marcia. I think now at that clip where the Prime Minister drops on us this name change. Do we have that one, Marcia?
Yes, it's going to come right up, and we're going to ask everybody to continue to share, continue to like, take your notes. Remember, there is an educational component to our show, right here on the Marcia Week Show. Okay, go right ahead, Dave.
Yes,
Thank you so
please.
much.
Yeah, from there.
I've asked the Honorable Chad Blackman to assume responsibility for the Ministry of Educational Transformation, which will focus on pre-primary, primary, and secondary education. I've asked the Honorable Sandra Husbands to assume responsibility for Ministry of Training and Tertiary Education, recognizing that government would wish to put all of its training programs in one, those from the Ministry of Public Service, those from the National Transformation Initiative, all of those previously in the Ministry of Education, so that the country can undertake a massive program for the upskilling of our people. I've said over and over that our responsibilities towards having skills for the requisite task of building out this country is the thing that keeps me up at night, not balance of payments or indeed debt anymore, as was the case when we first took office. I've
Please
also
stop
asked.
there. I smile at that one. That's an aside. I wish that she would stay away looking at the debt that she's putting us in. I wish that she would stay away and say that the state of crime and violence in our country keep her away. But she said it's not that. So easy come, easy go. You know, from that Marcia, that clip, I have been studying it and listening to it. I don't think that any thought was given to the treatment of the Ministry of Education, where the post was vacated, not voluntarily, but where the Prime Minister, after telling Marshall Cattle, go long, go long, go long, like how she would have told who is the gentleman who's now the leader of the opposition, go long, go long. After Miss Carroll went long, she had to quickly fill a gap. She could not keep, that was the opportune time to remove Kim McConney. And I don't know, we get the impression it was like, who we going to put there? Who we going to drop in there? And while we dropping in somebody there and a new face, let's come up with a new name. I do not think any thought was given, Marcia, to the treatment and the handling of the vacated seat space left in the Ministry of Education, the heartbeat of the nation. And Marcia, I want to stand on correction, but clearly the Prime Minister is not, and I speak on the correction, the Prime Minister is certainly not aware of the ministry's functioning, because she said under the under the Honorable Sandra Husbands, whose capabilities I don't question, will now come training for the public sector and the National Transformation Initiative. That is misleading. The Ministry of Education has never been responsible for public sector training. There used to be a training administration division responsible for government training. How recently, when we went to education transformation, we never heard anything about public sector training. So that does not occur under the portfolio of the Ministry of Education. And as far as I know, the National Transformation Initiative, an excellent program of sorts, has been in the Prime Minister's office. That National Transformation Initiative is given oversight by the Prime Minister or from persons within the Prime Minister's office. So do not mislead us and give us the impression that now these entities which were under the Ministry of Education now given a rationale for the separate ministry responsible for training and higher education or whatever, which now comes under Ms. Husbands. That's not true. Let's hurry on, Marcia, quickly.
Yes, and as you do that, we just ask people to continue to like and share. And we have in this segment, we actually have another 8 minutes in this segment. And coming up, we have persons from the diaspora who are going to speak about their view of what's happening in Barbados. Okay, so I took a minute from, so I give you back your minutes. Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Marcia. Let us look now, and I have said it not disparagingly, not being partisan. I am passionate, not partisan. And I have had to speak out at times about how education was handled under the DLP administration. So let us look, Marcia, I keep saying, and I've done my research, that under the BLP administration, I don't know if they don't like education. I don't know if it is a thing to keep people in their place. I don't know. But the BLP has always handled education as if it were a hot fish cake. I got to drop it in the sand. They don't handle education sensitively and sensibly. We can only look back at the failure of EduTech 2000. The DLP comes in. I mean, if you look at the former minister, Ronald Jones, I mean, he was mouthy. Sometimes he would open mouth without thinking and story would jump out. But when he said that he needed 6 forms in other schools, in newer secondary schools, he did not have to have a big launch at Lloyd Erskine Sandford Center. He did not have to have PR. He did not have to have consultations or consultants. He did not have to go to the House for vote for large sums of money to retrofit schools for 6 forms. He said 6 forms in these schools, and they were there, and they're functioning. But this government talks, and I put incompetent people like the late, did I say late? I'm sorry, not late, but she was always late and behind the times in whatever she was doing. The former Minister of Education, Kim McConney. Now let's look at the next clip to substantiate, Marcia, the next slide. What I am saying about this here very Ministry of Educational Transformation, and what we would have known about the Ministry of Education. And let's look at the beginnings, again, historical. The beginnings of the Ministry of Education in Barbados. Barbados has had a Ministry of Education since 1954. With the introduction of the ministerial form of government. That would have been 12 years prior to our independence. Give Jack his jacket. The BLP, the Ministry of Education, was appointed for the first time with Sir Grantley Adams appointing the Honorable Luther Thorne. That is where we get the Luther Thorne Primary School as the first Minister of Education under the BLP. It was under the BLP, Marcia and listeners, that we had our first Ministry of Education and Minister of Education. But they have not honored that historical development. In fact, they don't even talk about Sir Grantley Adams anymore. The BLP has had its beginnings with Mia Motley as Prime Minister. There has been no beginnings, and there has been, she doesn't trace historically, only when she wants to, the input, significant input, and we have to give credit to those forerunners and leaders who would have had the vision for such things as the Ministry of Education. In summing up, what do I want? I do not question the credibility or capability of Senator Chad Blackman. We have to give him a chance.
Yes, I agree.
I do not question it. From my research again on him, I don't listen to what people say. He seemed to have had from very early an impressive track record in carrying out duties at the highest level as a diplomat and ambassador. I take my hat off to him for that. But given that ministry that has had so much trouble from 2018 until now, they are placing him, the Prime Minister has dropped him in there. What do I want from him? No, quickly, I drew a timeline. Marcia, he takes up duty now. This is what, March.
Yes.
School is going to break for Easter vacation. So that's a school break. What is happening during that time? Then after that school break, Marcia, they come back in. It is common entrance. It is getting ready for graduation. It is getting ready for CXC exams, whatever. So that is one term gone. Then we break for the long 8-week summer vacation. Nothing happens in the Ministry of Education really beyond the technocrats and the staff going in. Okay. They come back in. And what happens in from September to December? From September to December now, we're going to be having settle in a new term. We're going to have Professional Teachers Week or Day. We're going to have Independence. We're going to have Christmas. Do we still have Independence? We're going to have the Republic, whoever. And then it's December.
Right.
Marcia, I think the timelines would indicate a stopgap. Put
Yes.
him in there to be diplomatic. Don't rock the boat. Keep things going steadily as we move smoothly because we are anticipating with
Yes.
regathering over Marcia that we are going to have elections soon in
Soon. So you're
2026.
thinking is a stop gap. Well,
So
listen,
just stopgap
this
in
is going
20.
so good as the people are saying, but we have we have a really tough schedule, and this means that Miss Corbin, I don't know how many. I mean, this is going very good, but unfortunately we have gone over time. Okay.
Yes, please.
And but I mean, this is an eye opener. It's always a history lesson. With you, as somebody said, you and Glenn Murray, you research your topics and very well prepared. So if you can promise us that you, the next time that we're on, that you'll be able to come on again with us and to just complete. You probably can add on some more and to complete. But come back. Can you come back at 9 o'clock, Mrs. Corbin?
Yes, I'll oblige.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Marcia, and thank you, Maxine, for your covering your exposition on this matter. As usual, well researched and well presented. And I would say, Marcia, that this, what we're discussing, is cloaked in unethical practice. It lacks principle. It lacks transparency. And I don't live in that area, but I have persons who are in that area. And I do know that from Sunset Crest, in the areas in Sunset Crest, especially near to the coast, when we have just a few drizzles of rain, all down that area is flooded out. I
Hmm.
do know that Jamestown Park, which is quite near, gets flooded out too. It is the building of the canal that they have that has eased somewhat the flooding out of Jamestown Park. And what they have done, and I want to go back to Minister Dugre's statement, which I had a little chuckle, Marcia Maxine and our other guests, when he said that they met with interested persons and stakeholders. And I'm wondering, that was quick. Who did they meet with? Did they engage the community of trends? Did they engage the community of what do you call it? First Street? First Street, just a little ways down the road. Did you engage the community of Jamestown Park? Even further up Sunset Crest, because it will be affecting them. Did they engage these persons? Did they engage the wider Barbadian public who has interests and in what's happening? But he did say that he met with stakeholders and persons. And Marcia, I feel that were it not for Wednesday night's show with a male presenter who asked some pertinent questions and raise the matter and say we are seeking answers, Marcia, beyond your walkthrough, beyond the um, Wayside Parliament meeting a couple Sundays back. I believe in listening to this program, we got the response, because if you listen to Minister Dugrid's response, he was responding to those questions raised by that caller. And one of the things, could I continue or should I break, Marcia?
No,
Because
no, continue, because we're waiting on calls.
okay,
I'll tell you when I'll bring in Miss McLean or Michelle. Go ahead.
yes,
Thank you.
please. I have here pulled up from it was the 18th of February 2025, an article in the Barbados Today captioned Government Civic Center demolition not a done deal in inverted commas amid backlash. And it went on to say, and I'm paraphrasing, that the government on Monday said that the planned project is not a done deal. I'm not calling the Honorable Minister Duguid Pinocchio. I'm not calling him that. He was my dentist, a gentleman, genteel, caring. I think his public office this time around has changed the gentleman. I've known him to be caring, thoughtful, a different person. Yes, he's grown older, but there's something not sitting well. And according to the article, Dr. William Duguid, Minister of Planning and Development and Senior Minister in the Prime Minister's office with responsibility for coordinating infrastructural projects and Development Commission, said no final decision has been made on pushing ahead with the project, which is currently being taken under advisement. He told the Barbados Today, we haven't gotten that far as yet. People feel we have gotten that far. We haven't gotten that far as yet. The first thing to be done is to acquire the land, which we are in the process of doing. That is as far as we have gotten. And he continued when asked if the government would still go ahead with the venture in the face of ongoing intense opposition to the planned demolition of the centuries-old site that stands in the shadow of a monument to the island's European settlement in 1627, Dr. Duguid responded, well, we're here and we take it under advisement. No decisions on that yet, but we are starting with the land acquisition. Thank you. And a quick question to Maxine. Maxine, would Mr. Duguid be part of the cabinet since he's a senior minister and a sitting MP?
Yes, he's a member of cabinet. He's responsible for infrastructure and something else. I have a list of portfolios I can share with you in the chat later.
Yes, I've got it here. Infrastructure projects and development commission.
Right. And he's a minister in the Prime Minister's office along with some others.
And he is in the Prime Minister's office.
Yes, he
and
is.
This is where I'm going, Maxine.
Yeah,
Okay.
let her make
and,
a point.
and to the others. Should we ask that he be fired,
Mhm.
and we know they're not going to fire, or resign at this monumental
Yes.
um, mistake? It shows also that there seems to be crevices, not just cracks now, crevices within the cabinet where the right hand does not know what the left hand is doing. And somebody has to take responsibility. And I believe he has been thrown under the bus. He's been kept in the dark. His teeth have been extracted. His mouth has been become numb as if
His
there's going to
nose
be
has
a
grown
dental
long.
procedure. And my thing is, should he be fired, and who will fire him? Because the prime minister gives him oversight and he lodges in her office.
Mm.
Or should he resign and say, look, people, this was really, I was really out of my league. I was in the dark. I did not know. And I can do the Barbadian public, do right by the Barbadian public by tendering my resignation. A godly man, I respect him, but clearly with this national faux pas, this national boo-boo, this national mess up that will impact this nation significantly and for generations to come, this cannot go as is.
Yes.
So the question is, fire or resign? Thank you.